Good morning. We're glad to see you here on the May 28, 2019 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. Again, glad to see you all, and we will begin as we always do with an invocation, and Eric Hoy, pastor of Presbyterian Church of Henderson, is going to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this past weekend to remember and honor those who have given their lives for our freedom. Thank you for all the freedom that we have in this country and that we often take for granted. Thank you for bringing us here today to become part of what you're doing in this county. Thank you also for calling these men and women before me to serve this county on your behalf. Lord, bless the decisions they make today. Guide and direct their thoughts according to your will. Thank you for the business before them, and may they all work together to continue doing the excellent things they are already doing for this county. For we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Roy, and I must say, in a very short amount of time, you become such a huge part of this community. You go to more meetings than I do, I think, and I see you everywhere, and thank you for caring so much about your adopted hometown. Appreciate to see you. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate McCollum.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Moran.
Here.
Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the May 14th, 2019 Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other additions, clarifications, or corrections? All those in favor of accepting those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. As many of you know, the County Treasurer, Brenda Ryder, serves at the pleasure of the Fiscal Court on multi-year terms as determined by the Fiscal Court. It's that time to reappoint her to a new term, and I think she's done a very good job. She was thrust into this position 4 years ago with the retirement of Becky Carroll and had to jump into the fire right in the middle of some of the most challenging times for the county finances, that's for sure, and had to learn many of the functions while she was in the middle of trying to herd Fiscal Court through some tough times. So I really appreciate her. She's gotten better at her job every year. She's been very invaluable to me, of course, and I hope members of Fiscal Court find her to be a great resource and solid as her job can possibly be with somebody who's still learning the ins and outs. And dealing with Frankfurt, I can tell you, as many of you have iterated many times on this court, can be a challenge as well. So I'd like to, with the approval of Fiscal Court, appoint her to a new term. And anybody have any questions, or would like to ask Ms. Ryder any questions or anything before we read the resolution?
Judge, just a comment. I just want to thank Brenda for all she does for me, and I thank you too, Charlie. You know, you're a real asset to when it comes to this finance committee. Brenda has to deal with us on a routine basis.
Not easy.
And that's true. and, you know, I know there's no dumb questions, but a lot of questions. But anyway, I just want to thank her for her service.
Any other thoughts or questions of Brenda? About Brenda? I'll have the clerk read the resolution.
A resolution relating to the Henderson County Fiscal Court reappointing county employees for the fiscal reappointing county employees. Whereas the judge executive is authorized to reappoint county employees with the approval of Fiscal Court pursuant to KRS 67.7107. Whereas pursuant to KRS 64.530, the Fiscal Court wishes to fix the reasonable compensation of every county officer and employee except those named in KRS 64.535 and why am I reading the wrong one? Well, let's get the right resolution out here.
Scratch that. Start again.
A resolution relating to the Henderson County Fiscal Court reappointing county employees. Whereas the judge executive is authorized to appoint county employees with approval of fiscal court pursuant to KRS 67.7107. Whereas the judge executive is authorized to appoint a county treasurer, a term not to exceed 4 years, whose salary shall be fixed by the fiscal court pursuant to KRS 179.020. Now therefore be it resolved by the fiscal court, County of Henderson, as follows. Pursuant to KRS 67.7107 and all applicable laws, Brenda Ryder is reappointed as treasurer for Henderson County effective 01 July 2019 for a term of 4 years.
Can I get a motion to approve that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and congratulations, Brenda. I look forward to working with you if you're sure you really want the job. So, not easy. You have before you, ladies and gentlemen, 2 different copies of our proposed 2019-20 budget. The first is a little bit more simple copy, which you've been used to seeing, and the second is the document which will be submitted to Department of Local Government. It's a little bit more technical, but they both show the same bottom lines, the same numbers. Just want to clarify why you have 2 copies in there. This is the budget that we had 2 workshops on to come to a final draft. I've expressed before, I think it's a very good budget. I know that there are a lot of unknowns coming with Frankfurt's decision about pensions. We're trying to take their advice on adding more expense for pensions to cover whatever may happen in the next couple of years, but beyond the next 2 or 3 years, there's no telling how Frankfurt will handle the pension crisis and how that will impact counties. But in the meantime, we made a very solid attempt with the help of the department heads and elected officials to have a flat year-over-year budget, for all intents and purposes, a flat year-over-year budget, still taking into account increases in pension costs and giving the department heads and elected officials a chance to offer raises if they so chose. Again, had spirited debate on this, lots of good things to think about. I do appreciate the help of all the folks involved in the process of coming to what I think is a good plan for 19 and 20, again showing fiscal restraint, but continuing to invest in our people and invest in their tools that they use to help the people of this county. I'd like to open it up to any further thoughts about the budget before we read it as a resolution for first reading. I know that we've talked a lot about this budget. There are a lot of challenges ahead, but the county is in very good financial shape and in a position to be even more solidly afoot before we head into the future. So, anything else? Sure.
I guess we're getting ready to fix the compensation. Employees set their salaries and accept them as employees, correct?
Yeah.
And that's our responsibility.
Yeah.
And there are employees that have been hired in the meantime since January, and we have not had to approve those, and we've not set their salaries. Are we doing something pro-nunc-tunc, so basically we're covering something that's been done in the past? Do we have to set the salaries? Do we have to accept the employees? And there's been raises given since January to certain people, maybe 15 or so. If we haven't approved it, are those good? Or is that illegal? I guess I'm asking that to our council.
I think in many of the instances you mentioned, we approved salaries for a position, and maybe we are replacing a person in a position during the course of the year. Promotions are given, and into positions that have a set salary. But I can defer to the county attorney to talk a little bit about that if he has an opinion.
It seems to me that we're acquiescing our responsibility if these things are being done and we haven't approved them. And if we're ultimately the ones that are supposed to approve it, then I think they should have come to us and we should have already approved it, rather than doing something, a big lump sum thing. So I'll wait for the attorney's opinion.
there are statutes with regard to particular entities within county government that do require specific appointments by the fiscal court, and there are those that are within the scope of the department heads. And it depends on exactly which type of job that is. But in general, direct county employees, yes, those hires and personnel actions probably would be best to be approved through court.
And I would like then to make a motion that that's what we do from here on out.
So can you want to clarify that and maybe take time until the next fiscal court meeting to spell that out exactly?
Well, it makes a difference on whether we do that, whether I can vote for the budget or not. Because in our budget, for instance, Renice's salaries have decreased. Steve Goals have gone to 3.5. That's what we've got. The county employees, the treasurer's office, and others are getting a 2% raise, and the salaries have increased 2%. The sheriff's office salaries have increased 6%, and the jailer's salaries have increased 15%. If we don't watch these, but what I think we've done in the past is that the elected officials have taken it, if we put it in their salaries, it's theirs to do with however they want to. And I don't think that's correct. I think, as Steve just mentioned, it's our responsibility. We need to approve those raises and new employees and those things before the fact. So if we're going to approve this budget with these additions in the salary line items, and I might be able to vote for it if we've got a statement, no, you've got to come back to court and get your raises, and if you're hiring new people, get us to approve it. If not, what are we here for?
Magistrate McCollum, I would also state that all, as you're very aware, not all county attorneys' employees are direct county employees. Those that have, for the past several years, we have been doing resolutions with regard to those employment actions. I've been doing those.
You've done it on every single case. I apologize, and I was not trying to appoint you, but others have not.
Also, the Henderson County Attorney's Office budget for the next year actually goes down about 1% as far as the total overall impact on the budget. But I do think the point is taken. I believe that the city has a consent agenda for those types of things, and that is something that the county could take a look at if that is the pleasure of the court.
Right. And Steve, no, I'm not trying to. You work your fanny off. I appreciate what all you do. You've only got a 1% raise, and that's so I understand, and I'm not trying to criticize your office, and you've done it, but I think a consent agenda or something to come back to us would be the appropriate thing to do, rather than to. Once money has been put into the budget, it's like it's gone, and they can do whatever they want to, and I don't think that's what the law is.
I'm certainly for operating under proper KRS guidelines.
Okay.
And if the motion is to follow KRS when it comes to approval of raises in employees, I'm absolutely 100% for that.
Okay.
So if you'd like to make a motion to that effect.
I would.
And then we can do a little bit more research to make sure what that exactly means for our responsibilities on a day-to-day basis.
And I would also like to provide some clarity here. I had to pull up a memo that I had sent back in 2017. I knew I had researched some of this issue before. The sheriff and the county clerk are fee officers. Pursuant to the statute, the court does not approve their hires. So those particular positions. Now, with regard to the jail staff, the number of jail employees is approved. We've spoken with CAECO about this in the past, and what they have suggested, and I believe what Jailer Brady has done, has been to create pay ranges within the salary grades, and that was CAECO's recommendation to avoid having to approve every hire and fire or termination or something like that, because that would keep the fiscal court very busy, and that was, like I said.
She has a lot of turnover in hires when she
And I
makes it.
understand it, but I'm new, And I don't know some of these things about what and how it's done. I'm just
Okay.
looking at numbers and how they've increased and how that. I've seen it happen in the past where you get money in your salary budget and you haven't used it all in the end of April, and then a bunch of raises are given because you got enough money to fund those raises for 2 months, and then that means that you've got to increase your salaries for the next year, 10 more months worth of that salary to just keep up. And, you know, we also have some new hires that are been there for 2 months maybe, and now they're getting a 3% raise. I don't know. That just doesn't seem to be, I don't know what our guidelines are, and I don't.
So the general rule is that the fiscal court must approve hires, fires, and rates of pay for all personnel except the sheriff and county clerk employees. And case law specifically says that the fiscal court cannot simply delegate that role to the county judge executive. There have been, like I said, it's approved to allow pay ranges where that doesn't have to be micromanaged as much. With regard specifically to the jail, the fiscal court must approve salary amounts for jail employees, but may do it by setting salary ranges by job classifications. Fiscal court must set the actual number of jail deputies, not just the budgetary line item amount. And then the jailer may terminate a non-deputy employee for any legal reason. Deputies may only be fired directly by the jailer for cause.
Jailer Brady, you have a comment?
I do. One of the reasons that ours increased is, if you'll recall, we changed our starting pay. We increased our starting pay, raised it $2, so it went up $2 across the board. And one of the things that we dealt with when I first came in back in 2017 was the fact that we had people that had been employed at the jail for years. It was the same way when I was in the back. I started out at $7 an hour. They changed starting pay to $8.50, and when they changed starting pay, I'd been there maybe 2 years. I didn't make $8.50 an hour, so they adjusted my starting pay or my pay to the starting rate at $8.50, and people that were new hires
Started getting raises before
yeah,
you did.
and that's the reason that we worked with the court to make some adjustments in the pay. In 17 is when we set the salary range for like the chief deputies, the captains, lieutenants, and stuff like that, and I put that on the budget sheet that I sent down to the courthouse.
Okay. I have not seen that, and I apologize. But I didn't even know it existed. So
It's in your packet now, I believe you want to.
okay.
It's in your packet.
Now, Steve, would it make any difference on the fee offices since we've gone to fee pool? If we're now responsible for whatever they spend, it's now, used to be the sheriff had to live within whatever he brought in, and the clerk had to live with whatever she brought in. Now, the clerk is well within what she brings in. The sheriff is about $1 million short. We're funding, it used to not be that way. Whenever I was county attorney, the sheriff covered his own expenses, and now we're been up about $1.2 million, I think. So, I mean, that doesn't change anything?
That doesn't change those particular hiring, firing statutes. However, the budget constraints obviously do. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's something that's a budgetary issue.
And if you recall, the instruction we gave to the department heads and elected officials was to maintain a certain top-line budget, and in our effort to keep the budget flat year over year. What they chose to do with raises within that budget was up to them, and in my instruction to them, and they accomplished that. So even though there were increases in salaries, they made the choice to pull back in other places in order to keep their budgets in line. So even though there are some departments that increase salaries, they were able to keep their top lines under control. And we do have a motion on the floor for the fiscal court to follow KRS. And
Don't think we got a motion yet.
I thought you made one.
No. Oh, I did make the motion, not on the budget yet.
Yeah.
That's correct.
To follow KRS guidelines when it comes to hiring, firing, and approvals of raises. So we have a motion and a second to follow KRS guidelines in those instances.
Yes.
Anybody have a thought about that? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So we just approved the motion to follow the law. I'm always about that. Moving on, though, more about the budget. Anybody else have any questions about this proposed budget? Again, we're going to have first reading today. This copy will be sent to Department of Local Government to be approved as to form and legality and any other questions they may have. Once they approve it and send it back to us, we'll have second reading, and it will be set for next fiscal year.
Say that one more time.
Any other questions about this?
No, what about once they approve it?
Well, also in the back of this packet, you will see what's called a list of standing orders. We're going to also approve that at the same time. This is the list of our normal bills that we pay every month, things like utilities, phone bills, postage, our payroll, health insurance premiums. By passing this standing order, we don't have to put it in claims every single month. We just approve paying it as it's due every month for these things that we owe no matter what.
Okay.
And it doesn't require approval in claims every month. So unless anybody has any more questions, I will have the clerk read the ordinance. Brenda, if you want to come up. I will say, as she comes up, a couple adjustments that were made since we last made that workshop, but I mentioned we were going to have to do these. We bumped the 911, our 911 contribution every year to $207,000 from $201 based on the projection given to us by Robert Gunther of City of Henderson. We also, our human rights line item now, Human Relations Commission now reads at $30,000 based on the city's recommendation. And we broke out the Board of Housing Appeals in Randy Tass's line items separate from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. They were lumped in together. We now have them in a separate line item so you can see that cost. And our allowance for Board of Housing Appeals is $3,000. All those were handled without any increase to the top line. We just took the money from other places or pulled it from other places. So, Brenda, you want to read the budget? Do you need her to read the resolution?
Okay. Budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020. Total for the overall budget is $30,526,162.38. Balanced for each fund are the following amounts. General fund, $11,563,926.20. The road fund, $5,146,926.29. The jail fund, $9,372,959.89. Local government assistance fund, $1,040,550. Grants fund, $1,240,800. Economic development fund, $60,000. Employee health insurance fund, $2,101,000. Again, a total balance budget of $30,526,162.38.
Let me make a comment on that. Last year's overall budget was $28,062,571. This year, $30,526,162. The main difference there, even though I said we had a flat year-over-year budget, the state's requiring us to show on a separate line item the total cost of employee health insurance, which is $2.1 million. We never had to do that before because those costs and revenues were all rolled into the appropriations line items, what we paid for health insurance. For some reason, they're acting in addition to that, rolling it out and showing it in our budget. So that's the main difference. We're also paying for new voting machines, the second half of our new voting machines. So the basic difference between the two budgets is right there.
Yes.
Otherwise, everything else is almost exactly flat. So with that, I'll turn it over to the clerk.
First, going to read the annual standing orders, and that'll be a separate motion, separate approval. So, annual standing order to pre-approve certain recurring expenses pursuant to KRS 68.275.3. The fiscal court may adopt an order to pre-approve the payment of monthly payroll and utility expenses. No other expenses shall be pre-approved pursuant to this subsection without the written consent of the state local finance officer. The Fiscal Court of Henderson County, in accordance with state law, hereby orders recurring expenses for utilities, grants, phone, postage, payroll, and health insurance to be paid when due. The Fiscal Court of Henderson County further orders, upon the written consent of the state local finance officer, the following expenses be paid when due. Account number 0150800578, 026105-578, 025217-578, and 035101-578, which is utilities for the general, road, and jail funds. Also, account number 045212-468, which is the LGA fund and Kentucky State grants. Fund 0601, Fund 06, which is state and federal grants. Account 018099-703, which is a general fund for the 911 project bond. General road and jail funds for the phone, both landlines and cells. Account number is 01501045 and 0150404445, 015015-445, and 015015-563, which is all postage. General road and jail funds for payroll. And health insurance, which is account number 789400-205.
Can we get a motion to approve those?
So
Yes.
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the standing orders. Any other questions? All those in favor of approving those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the standing orders? Next.
Actual ordinance that goes with the annual budget. An ordinance relating to the annual budget and appropriations be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Henderson County, Kentucky. The annual budget attached hereto and incorporated herein is reiterated herein in full is adopted for the fiscal year 2019-2020, and the amounts stated are appropriate for the following purposes indicated therein. For applicable statute, the budget will be forwarded to the state local finance officer for approval as to form and classification.
A motion to accept that.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Okay. Manager Southard,
Aye.
Manager Putman,
Aye.
Manager Moran,
Aye.
Manager McCollum.
I'd like to explain my vote. As we've mentioned, we've got the retirement issue that we do not know what the results are. I'm almost positive that the retirement people have done the actuarial numbers. I'd like to suggest that we write and ask them to give us and explain to us where this begins and where it ends. I've done some calculations, and we should be on the plus side with the about 24% that we're paying right now, but it looks like we're maybe going somewhere between 36.5% and 41.97%. We got, what, 3 more years or 4 more years?
3.
3 more, so that would take us to 36.5 approximately. So when we're giving raises, we're sort of multiplying that with the more expenses. I mean, each year it's going to get multiplied and compounded with that. We don't have the full knowledge of all our expenses yet. We've just gotten, 3 weeks ago, we got hit by the road department when they did the assessment of our roads and found that in the last 5 years we've gone down 10%. And that's to get us back to where we would need to be. We need about $1.5 million for that, just to get us back where we were. To keep us going steady, we need to start spending $700,000 on blacktop a year to keep us steady, not to keep making it get any better. And we don't know about the bridges yet. I've asked Bill, and he hasn't had a chance to go back and look at the future cost. He did bring up that there are several million-dollar bridges that we're going to have to replace. We've got a couple of wood long spans that are in a flood zone. They're going to need to be replaced. We've talked about getting an assessment of all our assets, how old they are, and what what depreciation's already taken place, so you can know how much money basically we should have set aside to cover those expenses, such as the roof on the building across the street, the roof on this building, the air conditioners at the jail, the roads, the bridges, everything we've got. We don't have that, so I can't make a full, comprehensive understanding of our long-term needs. I think, Brad, you've done an outstanding job. Currently, we do have money. This budget's going to work, but I really would like to have the long-term picture. That's just the way I think. I may be a little obstinate about it, but that's the way I like to look at the big picture and the long term, and what's this going to do to us year after year after year, and the compounding effects. The reason for that, you can take a penny and double it 28 times, and you've got $1.3 million. That's the compounding effect, and that's what scares me. Compounding, our national debt scares me. I mean, those kind of things I feel like I've got to watch. So I think we should write to CERS and ask them for the numbers and get that, whether this budget, I'm going to vote nay on this budget. I know it's going to pass, but I think we should ask for that number so we can make it better comprehensive. And I think we need to set a deadline, October, November, sometime, for all our department heads to get us all their assets. We found out about the server that we're buying this year, but we did that. We found out that because we talked about it, and we talked about what other needs are we going to have. I want to get all these needs, the future needs, out on the table so we can make decisions adequately about it. So at this point, with this information that I've got, I'm going to vote nay. Thank you.
Magistrate Barry?
Aye.
Judge Schneider?
And I'll vote aye, and I do want to say that I take very seriously everything that Magistrate McCullum just said. He lends a lot of thought and perspective on our budgets, and I don't discount his worry. I think every county in the state, every city in the state is concerned about this. That's one of the reasons why we really push to make this budget flat year over year, to keep us from artificially spending more money than we need to, considering the challenges you just faced. I will say that the total amount of the raises given in this budget add up to 1% of the total budget, total of 1%. So they are raises. They will, and we'll have to account for them in our budget, including pension costs and health insurance costs. But I think this year, 1% I can live with. What we do next year with raises or any of those items, we have to make the decision then. So.
One last thing, and I forgot it. I had it written down and didn't bring it up. I think we ought to think about maybe hiring an economist, somebody to look at our salaries and see if some of the situations are underfunded, are funded. I mean, we need a survey, somebody that's got the knowledge, and how do we compare to other counties? How do we compare it statewide, and so forth? That's just my suggestion to you.
Good thought. Okay, so we have passage of the 1920 budget. Appreciate that. Thank you, Brenda. Next, we, as we are required to do by KRS, will fix compensation of county employees and officers. There's a resolution and a packet of those positions and salaries in your folder. Any clarification again on this, Mr. Gold? Anything you want to add to the legal requirement to do this?
Well, KRS 64.530 sub 1 says that each year the fiscal court shall fix the reasonable compensation of county officers, employees, deputies, assistants, members of the fiscal court, except officers named in KRS 64.535, and that's the county judge, executive, the clerk, jailer who operates a full-time jail, sheriff, and county attorney.
If you haven't had a chance to look through those real quick, those are all our projected positions and pay scales for 19 and 20, including part-time.
Just for clarification, on some of these, and we use the jail as an example, when you throw in the 3%, I think what Charlie, if I got your point, was we approve this. This is the max any one of these classifications can make. Is that correct, Amy?
It was the salary range, yeah. Yes, sir.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
For the record, the jailer acknowledged that, yes, that is correct. So,
Correct.
any other thoughts or questions before we read the resolution? Mr. Clerk?
A resolution relating to the Henderson County Fiscal Court reappointing county employees for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Whereas the judge executive is authorized to reappoint county employees with the approval of fiscal court pursuant to KRS 67.7107. Whereas pursuant to KRS 64.530, the fiscal court wishes to fix the reasonable compensation of every county officer employee except for those named in KRS 64.535. And whereas the state statute requires that the fiscal court fix the reasonable compensation of all employees, even elected officials which are not specifically exempted. Now therefore be it resolved by the fiscal court, County of Henderson, Kentucky, as follows. Pursuant to KRS 64.530, the reasonable compensation of all full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees of the county, other than those employees enumerated in KRS 64.535, is fixed in accordance with the attached list of said employees and their compensation, which is attached hereto and incorporated therein.
Move to approve.
We have a motion? And a second. Just to clarify, Treasurer Ryder, all the salary ranges or salary budgets expressed in this document match up with the budget we're projecting for 1920. There were no changes in those bottom lines, correct? Yeah, she says correct. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay.
For basically the same reasons, the difference in raises. Some people are getting maybe 6%, others are getting no raise. And I don't have enough information to make decisions whether or not that's good or bad or the way it should be. I don't know.
Understood.
And if it did not pass, they would come in at what they did last year. That's the Attorney General's opinion.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on. I'd like to call up Chris Winstead from the Ambulance Service. Going to detail us some bids they got on a new ambulance.
Yes, Judge. We had a total of 4 bidders, 4 different companies that bid, ranging from basically $228,000 down to $42,000, depending on what options they bid. The trucks, all 3 of the bidders, we had requested that the trucks be able to be basically already built or would be come off the line within a week or 2. All these bidders was able to do that except for one, and that was Penn, which I think is like on the 3rd page. They had like a 40 to 60 day, I think, bid time. But we took all the bids into consideration. Also, the 2 bottom bidders, not necessarily that, but our 2 comparisons, which is the back sheet number 8 that I've got in your packet for you. That took the 2 closest bidders into consideration. The top one, which was Muster Vehicles, submitted 3 trucks for consideration. The truck that was the lowest that he bid was $142,000. It, though, was a 2017 vehicle, and we had requested you bid a 2019. It was also a Type 3, and we'd requested you bid a Type 1. They could do alternate bids, which is why we ended up with these. The other closest truck to bid specs that he did bid was the truck number 3, the 2018 Ford Diesel Type 1. It was a Type 1. It wasn't a 2019. But that price, with our accessories that we asked to be included, was $153,630. Then Mid-America has the bottom bid, and that is the bid that we recommend because theirs come in at total with accessories, and it was a 2019, which we requested, and it was a Type 1 Medic. It's got a 6.8 liter diesel, and it's a Frontline, basically the same type truck that we bought last time, except this is a 2-wheel drive, not a 4-wheel drive. And it come in at $149,618.84. which is overall about $10,000 under budget. The part that the city, the county would be requested for, each would be divided 50-50, would be $69,809.42. But if you add in the $10,000 grant that the county got, that would make the county's part $79,809.42. Because the county receives that $10,000 grant that goes toward this ambulance. That's the difference. And that is our recommendation, that we buy from Mid-America.
It's a small thing, but just a question.
Yes, sir.
Simply because we get the $10,000 grant, is there not a way we can split that cost between the cities so we each get credit for $5,000? I don't know.
Well, the grant comes as to whatever ambulance services. Basically,
Right.
it's in the county name, but it's to go towards purchase of equipment or ambulance, which we always put in usually to buy an ambulance, because that's the big ticket item, and it's capital budget. So basically, that money wipes itself.
Right. So I get you. There's $69,809 out of our pocket.
Yes, you're still dividing the.
Gotcha.
Yes. Sorry about that.
And
it is a little confusing.
We do have that $10,000 grant that was applied for in August. It's in our bank account, ready to be spent on this purpose. It is for purchase of an ambulance.
Right.
We currently have a little over $56,000 remaining in our budget for the ambulance service. So in order to accommodate this purchase, we'll pull $13,000 from another line item, transfer it, and make it good. We won't have to go into reserve or anything like that.
Right.
So,
We're going to pay for it this year then?
yeah.
Yeah, and it will be delivered before July 1. So
Excellent.
that's why we bought a built truck,
Okay.
because it was this year's budget.
Yeah.
So we've got a $10,000 grant,
Yes, sir.
but we're going to pay $10,000 more and receive the $10,000 back.
You've already received the $10,000.
Yes.
$10,000 is already in a grant fund for the county. So basically, what's going to come out of your pocket is $69,000,
The
just
same
like
as
it
the
was,
city, yeah.
just like same as the city. It's 50-50.
And only the
Capital
counties
purchases.
only the county can apply for that particular grant, so that's why it's kind of counting against our side of the ledger. But out of our pocket is going to be the same amount as the city.
Right.
It's like the 10,000 comes off the top.
Yes.
Except it's sitting in our bank account.
It's sitting in
so
your bank
that's-
account, right? Because it can only come to one entity in the county. Yeah.
Right. So in addition to the $10,000 in our budget is a pretty decent deal overall. So
Yes. And we're, like I say, this truck, I think we budgeted $160,000. So it's,
and just to reiterate, this has all the bells and whistles and accessories you need.
yes, it's got the power load system and a power stretcher to, like I say, that has decreased, obviously, to decrease our workman's comp injuries. And it's required, the load system and all is required by the state now.
I can entertain a motion to move forward on purchasing this ambulance.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second. We'll say we will work in the next fiscal court meeting to identify the transfer to get us the right amount of money in that line item. But thank you very much, and glad we're moving forward on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good work, Chris. We have a representative of the Humane Society with us still. Yeah.
And that'd be Miss Emma Todd.
I was going to say, please introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are.
He's
And you're-
my neighbor, that's why he knows me.
And you're a member of the board of the Humane Society.
I am. My name is Emma Todd, and I am currently the secretary, but have been asked to serve as vice president after we vote. So what I wanted to let you know is things are going well. We're full. We're right in the middle of kitten season. So we have 55 cats and 44 dogs right now.
Is that a technical term, kitten season?
Yes. So, and they are coming out our ears, literally. So we have hired another ACO, Neil Glover, and he has started to work. And he's getting ready to go through the training and all that. And Alyssa, our other ACO, has just completed that. We are in the process of hiring some new part-time help. We've kind of come to the conclusion that part-time help sometimes covers us better than full-time employees. That way we can juggle their hours, or they can. We have closed the executive director search and are getting ready to start doing those interviews. Tanya Frederick was our president of the board, and she resigned that position because she wanted to submit her resume for the executive director position. And according to our bylaws, she couldn't do both. So she has done that. Our interim positions pending election next month are Kendra Strawn, who is our president, myself as vice president, Teresa Kritzer will remain as treasurer, and Amy Legate will take the position of secretary. Let's see. I think that's about it, unless you guys have any questions.
No, I appreciate you being here today. I know it's been an unusual year when it comes to leadership of Humane Society. And to reiterate for members of Fiscal Court who may not understand clearly our relationship, we pay the Humane Society to oversee our animal control efforts. They hire animal control officers, administrate that program for our benefit, and we pay them a certain amount of money every year to do that for us. The Humane Society effort is on a different side of their business. That is the organization that is a nonprofit that helps house and hopefully find homes for stray
babies.
Yeah, stray dogs and cats or animals that are turned over to them. So we support the animal control efforts. The report you see here, I believe, is the overall finances for the organization.
Yes, sir.
As a whole. So just so you know, so we are not overseeing the Humane Society. We are overseeing the animal control function that we pay for through the Humane Society. So that way, our sheriff's office and or any other law enforcement does not have to concern themselves with animal control. We have a different way of going about that. So does that make sense? So any other questions of Ms. Todd? Good luck finding a new executive director. Please report back. Appreciate all you do.
We shall. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, next in your packet is the sheriff's report, the latest sheriff's report. I'm sorry. Well, let's do the sheriff's report first. Any questions about the sheriff's report?
Move to accept.
Second.
A motion is second on the sheriff's report. Any questions of Sheriff Brady? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, you have most recent report from Jailer Brady. There's a lot on here. Jailer Brady, if you want to step up and talk to any of these things, it might be helpful. Oops.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The report's a little late. We had some
You have your hands full.
issues at work where some people were out due to family emergencies. So we had to gather information from different departments. Do you have any questions on anything on
Amy,
this
just a
list?
general,
Yes, sir.
and I know but when you see the things like the boiler and the high vac and all these things are really key, and locks, I'm assuming there's a plan in place to get this ASAP.
There are. We just replaced 2 HVAC units, and I'd like to point out we've made a lot of budget transfers throughout the year in the jail fund and the appropriations report. But even with the increase in the starting pay and things like that, and the building, the parole office, we're still within our budget. So that's a lot.
You've done an outstanding job.
We're trying, and we've got some good people that we work with on a daily basis. The HVAC units, they're on top of them right now. Cottonwood is blowing, so
Yeah.
of course the units are all on the roof, and they are just collecting. They can go up every week and clean them off. It's a mess. Boiler holding tanks. When they installed the boiler holding tanks at the jail, they were installed before the roof was put on the jail. So we've got 2 huge holding tanks that one of which is leaking, and we're working right now trying to find someone to take those out and replace those. We're not going to be able to put the same size in, so we're going to have to put 4 small ones in rather than 2 500-gallon each.
So is the boiler, we use a boiler for heat? Know what the boiler tanks are for?
Hot water for the cells.
Okay.
Is there any, I don't, I'm just asking because I don't have a clue. Is there any way it could be welded or to
It's 20, it was installed in 95,
right?
so. it's-
Okay. I mean, these are going to keep
Yeah.
happening, and it's just, that's the way it is.
They said they're nickel, and old storage tanks, and they're just beyond
Okay.
repair. We've repaired them throughout the years.
Amy, are you in ongoing conversation with the circuit court clerk about resolving this difference of opinion you might have about the deposit of bond money that's listed here?
It's become kind of a mute issue as far, we can't take the money because that would be additional work on the treasurer's office. They can't cut checks every week to the circuit court clerk's office for bonds, and that's what the statute says, that they would be the ones. The jail fund would basically be a flow-through. Originally, we chose GTL because the clerk was agreeing that that would be the best fit for everyone, and that was the unit he was in the decision-making process. After the install, the paperwork was sent for the direct deposits to go from GTL to the clerk's office, and it was refused. He said he couldn't do it, and he wasn't going to do it. So we're still collecting bond money by hand at the jail, and the kiosk in the back is basically just sitting there. It takes in money for new arrest.
Should maybe we ask Judge Ferris if we could have a Justice Coordinating Committee meeting and put that on that agenda?
I think so, if you think it would help.
I mean, it just,
We'll arrange that.
Okay.
We'll arrange that. Any other questions of Jailer Brady? Motion to approve her report.
so moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Our new building looks good, Amy.
Thank you.
County Clerk Bernice Abner, your report next, please.
Okay, I have the monthly report for April 2019 with a total remitted to the county, $136,885.53, and excess fees in the amount of $100,616.24.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Before we vote, I'll say this gets you very close to your, I think, annual revenue goal, which is great. We worked on that and adjusting that just right, so good job, but it's going to
Thank
be
you.
better off for it. So any other questions of Bernice? All those in favor of accepting her report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Mr. Gold.
Judge, I've only got 3 checks today. First is $38 for health insurance, $96.78 for interest, and $42.20 another interest check. Total being $176.98. Fiscal year total, $138,095.20.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor of accepting the county attorney's report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Gold, would you do me a favor and quickly look up the KRS needed to go into executive session for a legal matter.
Judge, we do have a couple of things we need to talk about as far as, I need to update the fiscal court on some proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the county. That's the exception to open meetings is KRS 61.8101C. And there's some contractual matters that are proposed or pending litigation that I need to update the fiscal court on.
I'd make a motion pursuant to that we go into executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We will be, any opposed? We'll be right back. We will be taking some action on some other items on the agenda, so stay tuned. This will not take very long. Executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So next we have a couple budget amendments for this year's budget. I'm going to ask Treasurer Ryder to come up and explain those real quickly.
It's one budget amendment with three different parts. Increasing total.
Oh,
Sorry. Need a couple more guys if you're going to reenact your. Yeah, that's what I said.
We need to be on a hill.
Sorry for the interruption.
Increasing the current year's budget by $1,180,523.87, involving the general and road funds. First, amending into prior year carryover for the general fund, $497,171.65, with a corresponding appropriation of Employees Assistance Program for the same amount. This is to clear up on June 2018 audit finding, transferring health insurance funds to health insurance fund out of the payroll fund to the health insurance fund.
And as we've spoken about at the workshop and in the past, at state direction for a technicality, we're moving this amount of money from one side of our prior carryover, our reserve, to what amounts to another part of reserve. This money will likely end up in our health insurance escrow account to handle possible future bad years in our self-insurance plan. So again, at state direction, we're just moving it from one side of a ledger to another. We're not spending it out yet. We're just hanging on to reserve. Go ahead.
Okay. The next one is amending in prior year carryover for the road fund of $600,000. The corresponding appropriations would be bridge construction $300,000, rock materials $200,000, new machinery and equipment $100,000.
And again, this is to help cover some ongoing work related to the floods that we've experienced, as well as some kind of surprising bridge construction things were imposed upon us to take care of. And some of these funds will be reimbursed from FEMA. We're waiting on those, right? Am I characterizing this correctly, Bill? So we're going to handle that this year, this fiscal year. We'll get reimbursed in the next fiscal year, hopefully. Could be reimbursed tomorrow. You never know when these checks are coming in. But because of the timing of this, we take care of it now. We may not be able to get this money back until next fiscal year. So.
The last part is for the road fund, Kentucky State Treasurer grant reimbursement in the amount of $83,352.22. The corresponding appropriation is rock materials for the same amount. This is amending in Kentucky transportation funds that has been received for the Ohio Drive.
Any questions about those, Treasurer Ryder?
Brenda, that'll get him through this fiscal year.
This amendment, as well as some transfers that we're fixing to do, should.
I will have the clerk read the ordinance.
An ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Whereas the County of Henderson has realized unbudgeted receipts from prior year carryover general and road funds, Kentucky Transportation Grant for Ohio Drive, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, the budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 is amended to increase the receipts of the road and general funds by $1,180,523.87 and include unbudgeted receipts from account 01-4909, prior year carryover from the general fund in the amount of $497,171.65. Account number 02-4901, prior year carryover in the road fund by $600,000. Account number 02-4506, which is the Kentucky State Treasurer Grant reimbursement into the road fund for $83,352.22. Increase expenditure accounts, account number 01-9400-205, an employee assistance program by $497,171.65. Bridge construction 02-6105-312 by $300,000. Rock materials account 02-6105-409 by $200,000. New machinery and equipment account number 02-6105-721 by $100,000. And rock materials, which is 02-6105-409 by $83,352.22.
Motion to approve those amendments to our current budget.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other questions of Treasurer Ryder on that? Please call the roll.
Master Southard,
Aye.
Master Moran,
Aye.
Master Putman,
Aye.
Master McCollum,
Aye.
Master Berry.
Aye.
Okay, and if you might pass those down, we have transfers.
Yes, this is transfers moving within appropriation lines of the current year budget, transferring $12,000 to recycling, building repairs, and maintenance, from $500 from recycling cleaning supplies, $500 from recycling fuel, $2,500 recycling office supplies. The total of $15,000 to come from the road fund fuel. To the bridge construction line, $125,000 coming from the new machinery and equipment line. To rock materials, $100,000 coming from contracted construction. In the jail fund, to equipment repairs, $90,000. To utilities, $60,000, for a total of $150,000 coming from the contingent appropriation line. In the LGEA fund, to the communication center 911, $8,000 coming from the landfill and solid waste of $8,000. A cash transfer to the road fund from the grants fund of $83,352.22. This is transferring the Kentucky State Treasurer direct deposit of the KYTC funds to the appropriate fund. An interfund transfer to the road fund from the general fund of $600,000. This is a current fiscal year budgeted transfer. Oh, okay. Also, in the general fund, transferring to the refunds line $149,519.79 from the contingent appropriations line of the general fund in the amount of $149,519.79.
And that's to catch up on some revenue sharing agreements we have with the other three counties that are involved in Four Stars. So, any other questions about these transfers?
Judge, I'd make a motion that we approve the transfers.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor of these transfers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And lastly, claims. Ms. Ryder.
These are your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line items should be at approximately 91%. I have some additional claims from the road fund in the amount of $2,094.20 to Bill Hubiak for the reimbursement of the National Association of County Engineers Conference. From the general fund to Webster County Fiscal Court in the amount of $64,079.91 to Webster County Fiscal Court in the amount of $42,719.94 to McLean County Fiscal Court in the amount of $42,719.94.
And those were the revenue sharing items?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you said Webster twice. One of those was Union.
Oh, I'm
wasn't it?
sorry. It's Webster, Union, and McLean.
Yeah. Any other questions about claims?
Got one question on line, on page 1 of 5 of the, it's got it says cleaning supplies, business equipment, recycle printing cartridges, $540. It doesn't make sense to me. That's in the road fund.
I'll have to check on that and get back with you.
You just didn't, cleaning supplies, printer cartridges, just something just didn't correlate there.
Is
And-
it,
And I want to thank you for note that there is something spent in my district. The restrooms for the senior citizens is on there too. I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
a motion, a second, any other questions? All those in favor of paying the claims signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right, if there's anybody in the audience who has anything to say for the good of the county?
You got another storm coming?
No, sir.
Kenny Garrett,
Not that I
EMA
know
Director.
of. Good morning, all. Just wanted to let the court know that we are going to be participating in an exercise Thursday, which is an earthquake exercise. Henderson County, along with 23 other counties in western Kentucky, and about 7 or 8 states, state and local, federal partners, everybody's getting together to do this big exercise. And it'll be a good opportunity for all of us to sit down and discuss and plan and things like that. Obviously, there's going to be some things that if we do have a 7.7 magnitude earthquake, which is what the exercise is based on, there'll be some things we can't control, obviously. But I'd like to invite the court, if you're so inclined, to stop by. And we'll be there from 8 to 4:30 at the Emergency Operations Center here in town. All right.
I've never seen a tabletop exercise of this magnitude done, so it might be interesting for those of you who want to drop by and see how they go about this. I'm going to drop by for a while.
This is actually a functional exercise. It's a step up from a tabletop, so it's going to be the real deal. So anyway, hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for the good of the county?
I just wanted to publicly thank Bill Hubiak and the Road Department and also the Parks Department and Mitzi. I had a little situation with the delivery of the voting machines where my vendor kind of backed out at the last, it wasn't last minute, but we had enough time to work it out. But they stepped up and we rented some trucks and it was wonderful. It worked out so nice, and just appreciate the willingness of Bill to work with me and Mitzi, and the employees were wonderful, and I just wanted to express my thanks and also congratulate Brenda on her appointment. She's wonderful to work with, and I appreciate her so much.
If you don't mind me asking, what did you end up having to spend to move those machines?
Well, I don't have all of it, everything in yet, but it will be a cost savings. Important note.
Well, and I was hoping you'd say that because maybe we could work out a deal with the road department in the future.
Yes, he has already said he would work with me again. So it's just a testament to how well the department heads work together. And I should say the sheriff's office provides a deputy for me every election as well, so it's very much appreciated.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
And
Thank you, Bill.
Every now and then you get somebody angry coming to your office.
All right, Magistrate Southern, anything going on? It looked like you're about to go right back to work.
Oh, yes, sir. All's good.
Magistrate Moran?
All's good in District 2.
I'll say I've seen Magistrate Moran out and about a lot at various community functions, helping represent the fiscal court. It's very much appreciated. We had a really nice time at a service for First Missionary Baptist Church on Sunday, commemorating the marker that was just erected outside their church. If you have a chance, go over and look at it. It's one of the largest historical markers I've seen. I don't know whether they have a template and they're the same size, but this one is really striking and very interesting history there. So thank you for coming to that. Magistrate Putman?
Thank you, Judge. Well, congratulations, Brenda. You know, we're looking forward to working with you, Charlie and I especially. You know, I know you love that. No, but congratulations. And all's good in the 4th, Judge.
Thanks. Magistrate McCollum?
All's good in the 5th.
Magistrate Berry?
Just want to say thanks, Brenda. I know she worked with me on the traffic grants at the sheriff's office, and I know it's tough, and I know you have a hard job. So thank you. And I think we're good. I thank Bill for all the road. I mean, a lot of Tim and I's roads are flooded quite often, and I know we all working hard. Thanks. Thank you. We're good.
Mr. Gold?
Things are good, Judge. Thanks.
A couple notes. I have an appointment to the Property Valuation Appeals Board, which meets once a year to take appeals of property valuation assessments, and I've nominated Steve Virali, local appraiser Steve Virali, to that 3-person board. So that is taken care of for another year. The fiscal court has one appointment, and the city has one appointment, and those folks are still in the middle of their term. So got that squared away. I will say about this fiscal court and this budget process. In my humble opinion, and it's still being relatively new, it's never the purpose of fiscal court to be a rubber stamp for anything, no matter whether it's for the judge's opinion of the way things should go or any single magistrate or any single department head. We are a deliberative body trying to do the best we can with the knowledge in front of us and the help of our department heads and elected officials. And robust debate is what it is all about. Civil debate is what it is all about. And we can agree to disagree on many things, but if we are coming from a place of trying to do the right thing in a thoughtful way, there's absolutely no problem with that. In fact, that's what government should be. And I really appreciate the way everybody handled this budget. I think from here on out, not that budgets are ever easy, but from here on out in this state, at least for the foreseeable future, budgets are going to be very, very hard. There's no doubt about that. And it'll be up to us to make the very best decisions we can in that whole atmosphere for the people of this county. And if this budget process is any indication, I have absolutely no doubt that my colleagues on either side of me are going to do their very best to make good decisions based on the best information. And while we may disagree sometimes, we will arrive at a good point, at least the very best we can. And that makes me feel really good about sitting in my chair and working with all of you and all the department heads and elected officials. And again, we're all in this together. We certainly are all in this together, and it's going to be great to work together to make it the very best it can be, both for our operations and, again, for the citizens we serve. So thank you very much. Onward and upward. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.